Hello and welcome back to the Tired Truth podcast. This week's episode is the Halloween episode, and when I tell you I love Halloween so much, I'm so excited to be doing this, even though I don't really have any plans to talk about anything Halloween related. I would just like to express my utter joy and appreciation for the holiday of Halloween, okay? I've literally loved Halloween my whole life. I don't know why, I don't know when it started, but I just love it. I literally love it so much. And I don't even like the actual Halloween day. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But it's like the decorations, everything leading up to it. I just love it, okay? But I hate scary Halloween, okay? We're not watching horror movies. We're not putting scary skeletons on the front porch. No ghosts, no mean things, okay? It is happy Halloween, okay? We're talking candy corn. We're talking carving pumpkins. We're talking pumpkin spice lattes. We're talking Halloween costumes. We're talking the purple people eater, okay? You get what I'm saying? I love Halloween. And literally my whole life, growing up, I didn't even love trick-or-treating, probably because I hate people. But I loved seeing all the other little trick-or-treaters. So I would go trick-or-treating for a little bit, but then I would come home and pass out candy. And growing up, my family, we always did we really went above and beyond, okay? We had the fog machine out, we went crazy, okay? And we would buy more than candy, we would buy little trinkets, so little slimes and bubbles and all this random little stuff that a little kid wants. And it was just always so fun to have them pick out what they wanted and stuff. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. So I'm very excited. And this is my second year with my doggy, and so it's the second year we are going to dress up together, and I'm so excited. He is the devil and I'm going to be an angel. His costume comes today, okay? I only bought him little devil horns that I can clip into his fur. And then I bought some dog safe hair color. So then I'm going to color his tail red so he looks like the devil, and he has this cute little red little cape that he's going to wear. It's going to be adorable, okay? And then I have just obviously a little halo, and I'm probably just going to dress in white or something. We don't really go over the top, okay? Keeping it simple here. But honestly, loving it, okay? And also, this is the first year in I don't even know how long that I have a man in my life, dare I say a boyfriend. Did you hear that? So I don't know what he's doing for Halloween, but we've talked about it. But I always go to my parents' house, and I'm I really don't know if I want this man to come over to my parents' house, just because it's that's so, I don't know. It's just over the top, you know? And especially for Halloween when it's not that fun. I don't know. That's not what you want to do with your boyfriend on Halloween, you know? Especially meet your parents for the first time. No thank you. Anyways, so we'll see. I might drag him along though, and buy him a halo as well. We might be two angels and our cute little devil. Because this dog's the devil, okay? Anyways, we'll move past the Halloween. I just can't get over it, okay? And maybe it's just fall in general is what I like, maybe, because I do love fall. I love the leaves, the crisp air. Can't get any better than that. And a pumpkin spice latte and a cute sweater and some boots. My day's perfect, you know? And it's I've been struggling all summer, obviously, because I'm so ill with the heat, and heat intolerance is just such a thing that I used to love the summer, and then now getting sick, I literally dread the summer because I'm cannot leave my house, and when I do, I think I'm gonna die. So it's the weather's cooling, you know, I'm things are getting better. But recently, I've just heard about the October slide, which is basically kind of just this phenomenon that your symptoms get worse in October. And I don't really know if I experienced that. I don't know. It's kind of hard because I'm still recovering from surgery, and I kind of feel terrible all the time, that I'm I don't really know if that's what's happening. But I know people really say it's a thing. I mean with the temperature change and I think it's barometric pressure and just kind of everything. Wow, I just really pulled that word out of nowhere. But who knows? So if you're feeling crappy, might be the October slide. Couldn't tell you. Also, it's Dysautonomia Awareness Month. How is it October 27th? And that's the first time that I'm saying that. But I think it's amazing that we have an awareness month around dysautonomia. We don't get enough recognition for it. There was a year that I made my entire volleyball team. I didn't make them. I guess they wanted to. We got like purple. We got like turquoise hair extensions, and then everybody had little turquoise hair extensions in their hair all of October, and it was like adorable. Anyways, when I like planned like what I wanted to talk about for this podcast, I was like low key like not doing well like mentally. Like I was in like a rough state, and I feel like that like happens to me like every once in a while. I feel like I'm like constantly like distracting myself and like drowning myself in like media consumption and music and like keeping busy and like, so like there's never anything negative on my mind. Like I feel like I do that a lot. Like I'm just like such like a busy doer. And like when I say busy doer, I mean like crocheting on the couch while I watch Love is Blind, like we're not going crazy here, but like I feel like I'm like constantly consuming things so I don't actually have to think about like my life. But then there are times where like things are calm and like I actually have to like think about things and like think about my future and think about just like my life how it is right now. And then I kind of get to the point where I'm like, oh my god, this sucks so bad. It's kind of just like this like rush of like realization that like holy shit, this is my life and it sucks and it's terrible and I'm never going to be healthy again. Like that really like blows my mind sometimes. Like I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, what do you mean I have to do this for the next 40 to 50 years of my life? Like, what do you mean I'm never going to be healthy again? So like you don't know what you have until it's gone. Like I think people don't understand like the value that your health has until it's gone. And I also think, it's been like literally like 3 months since my surgery, and recovery is supposed to take like 3 to 6 months. So now that I'm at like the 3-month mark, I'm like, what do you mean I still feel terrible? I'm like so frustrated that like, am I really ever going to get better? Like I'm so tired of living with a chronic illness every freaking day, And I know that's like, I'm like preaching to the choir here. Like everyone who's like listens to this podcast is totally going to understand that. But I think it's like still important to say. Like, what do you mean I'm never going to get better? That like blows my mind. What do you mean I'm 22 years old and I have to live with this for the rest of my life? Like, I'm never going to wake up and feel great? Like, are we kidding? And even though like I say that, like I've lived with this for like 5 years now, and so like I've definitely found like my new normal, and like living in a sick body is like something that I'm like used to now. And so, I don't know, I just still do have days where like I think about like the things that I could do before and the person that I was and had all like the dreams that I had. And it's like freaking hard to be like, wow, I'm not gonna do any of that. I was like such a downer, but I feel like that's just like so like important to say. I think people with chronic illnesses, we get this idea that we have to be strong all the time and we have to like keep pushing and all this stuff. And it's like, yes, we 1,000,000% do. Like you have to fight for your body every single day, but at the same time, like you can also recognize how crappy your life is. And maybe that's like so negative to say, but I feel like I'm just being like so honest. I feel like it's super unrealistic to be like, you can be so happy with a chronic illness, because it's like, no, it's hard. It's freaking hard. And you're going to have hard days, but also like everyone has hard days. But like, I feel like my hard days are harder than other people's hard days because at least your body works, Anyways, like I think I say all of this because when I was like planning this podcast, I was like really like low-key in a rut, and then what always gets me out of it is David Goggins, okay? And if you don't know who David Goggins is, you're really missing out on life, okay? Because when I tell you this man is my total idol in life, like the reason to keep going is David Goggins, okay? Whenever I'm having a rough time or going through something, I'm like, what would David do, So if you don't know who David Goggins is, first off, you can just look him up. But I found out about him in high school through like my volleyball coach. He was like really into like summer readings. Like we would always have to like read books before like the season, and one of them was his book called Can't Hurt Me. I'll say that again, Can't Hurt Me, because that's like one of my all-time favorite books. So go check it out. Listen to it on the audiobook. Both of them, listen to them on the audiobook because they're better, because he does like a little like synopsis like after every chapter, so you get to hear him, and it's just like, ugh, it's amazing. Anyways, so the Can't Hurt Me book is literally just like basically his memoir of like overcoming hardships and like literally controlling his mind and being like literally like a freaking superhero. So this is a ChatGPT. I think I mentioned ChatGPT on every podcast. Like I should like stop saying where this is coming from. But anyways, so David, like, oh my gosh, I've never mentioned him as like first name basis before. Like Goggins, he's like really grew up in like a terrible environment. He had a lot of abuse and racism and poverty and things like that in his upbringing, and that kind of like helped fuel him and really like make this like gigantic transformation in his life. So he was like incredibly obese in his 20s, and he decided that he wanted to become a Navy SEAL. And obviously you cannot be a Navy SEAL if you are incredibly out of shape and obese. So he lost over 100 pounds in 3 months to qualify for Naval SEAL training. That alone is insane. And when he talks about like how he did it and just like the sheer will and like drive that he had to like get through that is like insane. Again, read the book. And then he went on to serve in the military and did like all of these crazy things. And so now I think he's in his 50s now, and he's literally known for like pushing the limits of like literally everything humanly possible. So he runs like crazy. Like he just ran like the Moab 250 or something, so like 250 miles, like with ease. He sets the world record for pull-ups in 24 hours, and he literally has this philosophy of like callousing the mind through discomfort and discipline. Okay, so when I tell you this man is like all about grit, all about determination and drive and everything, and like growing up through high school, like that was like always in the back of my mind. He has this thing that he's always like hashtag can't hurt me. It's like whatever you do in your life like can't hurt you. He has this idea of the cookie jar. So the cookie jar is obviously not like a real cookie jar. It's like a mental tool to like get through pain and doubt and kind of like discomfort in your life. So it's basically like you collect all of your past wins, your challenges, just kind of like anything in your life that like proved that you are strong, and you put them in your cookie jar. So every cookie represents like a hardship in your life, a success in your life, things like that. So then anytime you're like going through a hard time, you reach into your cookie jar and pull it out and be like, hey, I got through this. That means I can get through this, you know? And it can be positive things and it can be negative things, which I think is like an interesting twist on this. But like thinking like positively, you know, like I freaking graduated college being chronically ill and like suffered so bad. Like if I can freaking do that, I can get through my master's program, stuff like that. And it can be like such little things and like huge things, but just like all about like building mental resilience through kind of like reflection and remembering all the tough and amazing things that you've got through. So the cookie jar is kind of like a great like building skill with like mental toughness and resilience and things like that. Just remembering your own strength to help you get through tough things. So whenever I'm like going through a rough time, whenever I'm like down bad, I think about David Goggins. And I think of him running 250 miles with literally broken feet. Or I watched him do this workout with this like, I think he was like an ultra, I don't know, he was some like professional athlete who was like very athletic, like that man was ripped, and they like went through a workout together, and it was like a crazy insane workout. When I tell you I'm like so obsessed, I watched this workout. I sat here and pulled up YouTube and watched 50 minutes of David Goggins working out. Like no music, no transitions, like it wasn't like a fun YouTube video. It was like literally just watching David Goggins work out. And I was watching him and then the athlete that he was training with like side by side, and the athlete's literally like puking his brains out, can't even stand, and David is just like so like stone cold, like on his like 500th push-up, like no big deal. And just like seeing that and like seeing how mentally tough someone can be is just like literally so inspiring, and I don't know why. Like when I first became like obsessed with David Goggins, it was more from like an athletic perspective, being like I can get through every workout, I can get through every tough time because of all all of these things that like David Goggins did, like I can do, you know, like building that like resilience and like mental toughness. Like I really love like the grit aspect of like being an athlete. But now that that's no longer me and my athletic ability is gone, cannot do that anymore. I think I've like taken all of the stuff that I learned from there like into like every aspect of life. So even if you are not a crazy ultra marathon runner, and again, if you're watching this podcast, you probably aren't because you're chronically ill. Like you can take his ideas into every aspect of your life. Everybody goes through tough times, and the tools that I've learned about like mental resilience and stuff can be carried through like with a chronic illness, you know, like we are in pain every day, we are struggling every day, and building that grit and determination in your mind can really keep you going. Okay, so I really want to talk about like this boat story because, you know, I mentioned like who's going to carry the boats, and that's like a big story with David Goggins, and I think that'll give you like a better representation of like mental toughness and things like this. He has a story in this Can't Hurt Me book. Again, go read it. Okay, and it was during his Navy SEAL training that it's called Hell Week, so it's like arguably the toughest, most military training on the earth, and it was like they literally like put you through hell for a week to see like, hey, are you going to be able to push through this? Because if you can, then you can be a SEAL, and if you can't, like you're out of here, you know. So Hell Week lasts about 5.5 days, with candidates getting only a few hours of sleep in total, and they spend nearly every minute wet and cold and covered in sand, and they're being ordered around to do like incredibly grueling physical challenges. And one of the challenges is to carry this like super heavy rubber boat, so it's like over like 200 pounds over their heads while they're running in and out of the freezing ocean, and they're doing like push-ups and sit-ups and log carries like as a team, like in between like carrying this crazy boat. So at one point David Goggins' boat crew was kind of like falling behind, and the instructors kind of like deliberately pitted crews against each other, so they were like yelling at them, mocking them, and like trying to just like mentally break the people who were like lagging behind. So their team was exhausted, aching, were really like demoralized because they were starting to fall behind, and some of the guys were starting to fall apart under the weight, kind of like literally and mentally. So Goggins hit kind of a breaking point in the opposite direction. Instead of giving up, he really like flipped the switch, and he decided that no matter how terrible and brutal it got, he would not let his team be broken. So he started shouting through the chaos and exhaustion, who's going to carry the boats, who's going to carry the boats. Like he just kept saying that over and over again, and his voice cut kind of through the waves and the exhaustion, and he wasn't just yelling to motivate others, he was declaring a war on weakness. So in that kind of like moment, it became a mantra of defiance, a state of ownership, a challenge to his team and to himself. So the message was like super clear, like no one's coming to help you, no one's going to carry the load for you, you're going to have to dig deep and carry it yourself no matter how heavy it gets. So that moment kind of like turned everything around, and Goggins' crew was kind of inspired by his energy to start pushing harder, and they actually ended up catching up to the leading boats, and they eventually won the boat race, which was kind of like one of the most unheard of things for a team who like was nearly about to collapse. So this whole idea of like who's going to carry the boats is such like an iconic phrase now that's kind of like representing grit and just kind of like mental dominance. So obviously this isn't actually about a boat, but it's more about like responsibility. So it's kind of like the idea that like no one is going to do the hard things for you. So when you feel that your life is unbearable, when you want to quit, when your mind kind of like starts whispering enough, it's kind of like this idea that like no one is going to save you. So like you have to reach into your own mind and find your own strength and tell yourself that like I'm going to carry the boats, you know. So honestly, like this phrase comes in my mind at least once a day. And I think, you know, living with a chronic illness, at least once every day, you are struggling at some point. You're exhausted, you're tired, you're so sick of it, maybe you're pissed off at your body, you know, so many emotions that you go through literally every single day of your life, and it can be so exhausting. But I think to myself, like, I'm gonna carry the freaking boats, you know, like, I'm gonna do what needs to get done, even when it's unfair, even when it's painful, even when I'm so sick of it. Like, no one is gonna come and save me. I have to do this myself. And like, I understand that that's like kind of like a crazy extreme, But I really love the extremes and kind of like having this mantra to help me like push through challenges and kind of remind myself during like dark times that like I'm in control of my life, and kind of to embrace this like suffering as fuel and to prove that my mind is stronger than like my body is. And that again, like to a point, is difficult with a chronic illness because like my body is like incredibly weak, that even if my mind is strong, like I am still limited in my body. But I think it's so helpful to have these tools and ideas like in your mind to kind of help you get through the day. So again, go read the book, and if you're having a tough day, think to yourself like, who's gonna carry the boats? Like, I'm a tough girl. I can freaking do hard things. I'm going to carry the damn boat, you know? I'm going to get this done. Anyways, I could literally talk about David Goggins forever because I'm in love with this man. Not really. I need to, like, stop saying that because I'm, like, I forget I'm, like, putting this on the internet. But, he can be kind of, like, hard for some people to, resonate with. I know a lot of people, like, don't love him, which I'm like, screw you, okay? It's David Goggins, but literally not screw you at all, because if you don't love him, I get it, okay? He's low-key like very polarizing because he is very like, I am right about everything, but also, could you run 250 miles? Because I sure can't, because so he has to be doing something right. But I guess kind of like the idea with where I'm going with this, is that it's so important to like have some type of idol or things that you resonate with, or just some tool in the back of your mind that can help you get through the hard times, because living with a chronic illness is so incredibly frustrating and lonely, and so having some type of tool to help you get through the day is so important. And for me, that's David Goggins. For me, that's my cookie jar, that's my boats, that's my me staying hard, because I can do hard things, you know. But I think I come from that like athlete background that is like yelling at me and is pushing me to my limits mentally, you know? And so I think for a lot of people who didn't grow up with that, you won't resonate with that, and that's okay. But it's important to find something that you do resonate with that can help you get through the day. But again, I'm going to say it one more time. Go read David Goggins books, okay? Me, like, even talking about this, I might go reread them again, okay? Can't hurt me and never finished. Go read them, or get the audiobook, because the audiobook's better. Okay. Do you live with a chronic illness and want to connect with people who truly get it? Check out Chronically Connected, an app created just for people with chronic conditions. Think of it as a giant group chat where everyone understands what you're going through. We have weekly prompts to spark real conversations. It's a safe space to ask questions and share experiences, and build connections with people who truly get life with a chronic illness. It's simple. Click the link in the description to join. Just make sure you upload a profile picture so we know you're real. Okay, I asked you guys online, what is a phrase that you hear all the time from healthy people? I was very curious about this, and I want to read some responses and just kind of like chat through this. The first one is, I wish I could just sleep all day and lay in bed like you with no worries. That is actually literally so unbelievably rude, and this person said, makes my blood boil when someone says this to me, which I totally get and have had people say that. Like, people will flat out be like, I wish I could just lay in bed all day. And it's like, excuse me? Like, I wish I could get out of bed. I wish I could be as productive as you. Like, I'm forced to lay here when, as for you, it's a privilege, you know? There was actually this time when I was still trying to play volleyball in college, and we had to do like workouts in college, and I was still like in my delusional brain that I was like trying to be an athlete. And I had like worked it out with my coaches that I was going to do every like exercise, but I wasn't going to do like the running in between. Like, we would do like push-ups, and then we'd like run like 2 laps and then do the next kind of like station. And I had worked it out that like I wasn't going to do the running part just so I could like get through the workout, which that alone should have been like, girl, stop it. Stop playing volleyball. We were doing it, and the person I was partnered up with, you know, she like ran her lap and came back, and we'd moved on to the next station, and she was like, God, I wish I could like skip running like you do. And I just like glared at her so hard. I was just like really in awe, because that was like the first time someone had ever said something like that to me. And I think I flat out looked at her and was like, I would have loved to run that with you. I just think healthy people just don't get it. But I think it's so important to talk about because it's like there's all these like little harmful things that healthy people do every day that like they're not realizing. Like, yeah, I shouldn't be like penalizing somebody because they don't mean to be being mean, but like it's so mean and hurtful to say that. And she ended up like totally apologizing about it because I was like so rude about it. And she like got me some like cookies and like wrote a letter about it. But so I'm like, that was so sweet of her. Like, thank you for apologizing for that point. And I don't think she ever said that again. When she meets another chronically ill person, she won't ever say that. The lesson was learned. And I think a lot of healthy people need to learn kind of like lessons like that. Again, that like your health is a privilege and that's a privilege I don't have. Chronically ill people want nothing more than to be healthy and productive. People who are bedbound want nothing more than to get out of bed and do things, So I don't know why that's such a hard thing to grasp for healthy people, that like we're not choosing to be sick. But I think a lot of it is like that it's like an invisible thing. Like I think if we physically looked more ill, people would be like, oh, you're laying in bed because you're sick. Like they can't flip the switch and be like, oh, you're actually sick. I don't know, but it pisses me off. The next phrase that you hear from healthy people all the time is, wow, you'd rather stay home than to hang out with me? No, that's simply not true. Sometimes that's the best you can do. Sometimes you cannot leave your house. Actually, most times you can't leave your house. Most of the time we're fighting for our lives in the house. Why would I leave my house and make it worse? This whole idea of like getting butthurt because like we don't want to hang out with you. It's like it's not about you. It's not that I don't want to be with you. It's that I physically can't. And again, it's just like something that healthy people can't wrap their mind around, and I don't know why. But I love that other people are also experiencing this. I think it's like so validating. Somebody else said, but you've had all day to get better, which I think is like so common. Or like, wow, you still don't feel well? That it's like I don't know why people don't understand the word chronic. Like, why don't you understand that chronic actually means forever? Like, chronic means not going away. I will always feel sick. I'm not getting better, And that, it's like when people say that to me, they're like, oh my gosh, you're still sick? I'm like, I literally don't know what to say. Like, I feel like I get like the Gen Z stare and I just look at him. Like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, no, I'm never going to get better. And again, I think it's the idea of like, it's invisible, like you're not going to see it. I don't know. Like, it's really like at a loss for words, honestly. And I shouldn't be at a loss for words because I'm like trying to film a freaking podcast. But it's like, I don't know. Healthy people are just not the brightest sometimes. And that's okay, Maybe I shouldn't be like doxing unhealthy people because maybe they're watching this podcast and they're not going to subscribe if I'm like being rude to them. Anyways, somebody else said, you're too young to be going to this doctor, aren't you? I have gotten that so many times, and it's actually low-key like so frustrating, and I actually hate it, like going to a doctor, because I'm the youngest there. I am the youngest person in every doctor's office I've ever been in. There was this one time, I don't remember what doctor it was, but the doctor literally walked in, saw how old I was, and said, you're too young to be here. And I was like, what? Like, you have a medical degree. What do you mean you are also saying this? When are we going to understand that diseases don't care about age? They don't care about age, gender, race, nothing, okay? Sickness means you're sick. Doesn't matter what age you freaking get it, okay? Somebody also said, it's not that bad, it's your anxiety. Which is so frustrating and can be very harmful for people. It is so common for people with chronic illnesses to get diagnosed with anxiety rather than what's actually going on with them, which is so frustrating. And I think it's even more common when you're a woman. I mean, I don't have any like statistical proof to that, but that's just how it is. I've seen so many doctors who flat out look at me and just think I have anxiety and move on. The amount of times doctors have just tried to prescribe me antidepressants instead of actually like medications actually going to help me is actually insane. I don't know if it's because they can't actually take the time to listen to their patients, or that they don't care, or that they're just ignorant, or they don't know what's happening. There's like literally so many scenarios, but It's incredibly harmful, and it makes it really hard to find a diagnosis. And like medical trauma is so real. And even though I know I've said that I consider myself a tough person because I got David Goggins on my back, like it is hard to go see a new doctor. I'm going to be so honest with that. Every time I go to a doctor, it does scare me a little bit. It scares me first off because I have to bring up all of this medical trauma that I've gone through. And then the amount of times I have gone and seen a new doctor and it's been a negative experience is really frustrating, and it makes it exceedingly more hard to continue to go see more doctors when everyone you go to is a negative experience. But I do have to say that you know your body best. If a doctor is trying to prescribe you antidepressants, you can get up and walk out, leave them a terrible review, and go see a new doctor, and continue to do that until you do find someone that listens to you. And unfortunately, that is few and far between, but you cannot give up on yourself. Who's going to carry the boats? You are. You are going to go find a new doctor. You are going to advocate for yourself, and you're going to find out what's going on. Hopefully, still with like me being sick for 5 years, there's still so many unknowns and things that I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to continue to fight for answers. And I think that's so important for everybody to do. Someone else said, "You look like you're doing so much better." And I get this a lot. I get this all the time, especially because, again, I've had this for 5 years, and in a sense, I have gotten better. And better is not a good word because I've just gotten better at managing my symptoms. I've gotten treatment that has helped me manage these symptoms, but that does not mean my condition is less severe or less valid or less debilitating or less goddamn terrible, So when somebody looks at you and says you're doing so much better, it's invalidating everything that you're going through. I would like to say that my mother does this a lot, okay? I still love you, Mom. It's all right. Because again, I have technically improved in some aspects of my life, but that does not make me living with a chronic illness any easier. I think we get better at hiding our pain, and the pain and symptoms that we do have. We get better at masking it, and again, that kind of like becomes your new normal. So I'm used to living with an exhausted body and a body that hates leaving my room, a body that's always in pain. So your pain scale, rapidly changes because like my level 5 pain is not a healthy person's level 5 pain because I live in pain every day, so saying you're doing so much better or you look great is just invalidating all the things you're going through. And I think when that happens, I think the only thing that I can do to not get incredibly frustrated is understand that they don't know what I'm going through, understand that they were coming from a good place, and to kind of brush it off, as hard as that is. I think that I can be pissed off about something, but I don't have to let it ruin my day or ruin my relationship with whoever I'm talking to a point. I mean, if it goes on and on and on and on, it's like incredibly annoying. But I also think if you are experiencing something, say it. When people say to me, "You look so much better," I will flat out say, "Well, I'm not." I will say all the things that are wrong with me. I will say I have a migraine right now and my back is killing me and I'm absolutely exhausted and the whole room is spinning right now. Thank you very much. Now, do you think I look better? When I go to bed at night and I take off my lashes and take off all my makeup and, I don't have any self-tanner on, I haven't washed my hair, and I see what I actually look like the true me, which is like so terrible, I'm like, wow, this girl looks sick. Like, she is a sick freaking woman. And when I wake up in the morning and put on this literal mask, I make myself look tanner and do my hair and put on an outfit that doesn't make me look ill, like all of these things to literally mask what you're going through. It's really easy to trick people into thinking that you look healthy. So I think I do have to keep that in mind. That's like, people just aren't gonna get it. They're not gonna freaking get it. And that is just so frustrating. But I also think that's why it's so important to find other chronically ill people that can kind of like be in your corner, because they're the only people that can really understand what you're going through. Okay, the last one I'm gonna say is you don't have to use a wheelchair. It's not that bad. this breaks my heart because this happens too much and it's awful. If you think you will benefit from any type of mobility aid, use it. And I understand that this comes with a lot of like caveats and stigma because of the world that we live in. People look at people with mobility aids as lesser than, and I think it can be really hard for a person to take that step of I need this because they do worry about what other people are going to think of them. And I think especially when you are like an ambulatory, is that the right word? Ambulatory? That sounds wrong. Anyways, when you are in, I'm just going to say ambulatory. I think that sounds so wrong. What am I saying wrong? Ambulatory wheelchair user. When you can stand in a wheelchair, that really confuses people. And honestly, it's like, why do you care? Like, you're not in this wheelchair. I'm not bugging you. You're living your life. I'm living mine. Why do you care? And I think that's something that you have to continue to kind of like think in your brain all the time. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think of me. If this is what's going to help me, I need to use it. If this is going to make my life easier, I need to use it. When I see statements like this, it just really makes me sad just because of like the world that we live in. You know, mobility aids are supposed to make your life easier, and when you have to add like the social aspect and the fear around it, just is really unfortunate. And then take it even a step further, we live in such an inaccessible world in general. You know, even if you are in a wheelchair, are you going to be able to use it accessibly because people do not make our environment accessible. And again, that's why I'm getting my freaking master's degree, because this is ridiculous. You know, I hope that one day I can make accessibility and equity more of a priority, because it's not, and it's terrible. You know, the couple things that I mentioned here aren't coming from me. These are coming from people online, but I think it's really important that to see that like we all have like similar themes, you know, and I think I've said so many times that like living with a chronic illness is so isolating, but to see that other people have similar struggles and that other people are hearing the same things from healthy people can kind of put your life into perspective and be like, oh, like, okay, I'm not the only one that is living like this, you know, and I think that can be so helpful. So I think I've reiterated this every single time, but I will continue to do so. If you are living with a chronic illness, you are doing absolutely amazing. You are waking up every single day and you're doing the damn thing. You are strong, you are capable, and you are amazing. And if you're having a tough day, you're going to get through it. If you're having a great day, amazing. Keep going. You know, you can do hard things. Who's going to carry the boat? Go get your cookie jar. I hope you all have a lovely Halloween. Please let me know what you're going to be for Halloween, okay? I really care. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you all next week for another episode of the Tired Truth Podcast. Love ya.